Hey folks, Steve Alcorn with the once again, welcome back to the channel. This is the $50,000 in credit card debt series, and this is the final episode. We've been updating this once every 6 or 8 months just to keep you guys informed, probably longer than that. Might even been a year since the last video. I don't know. It's been a while. I've recorded this whole entire video once already tonight. Of course, it's unscripted, so I have to remember what I said. But and my OBS software decided to break it up into 3 different clips, and one of them came up missing, and I wasn't able to find it. Well, it turns out I have a Mac and I have a trackpad, and I must have hit the trackpad and stopped the recording, and then somewhere in the middle started it. So, anyway, this is the third time tonight that I recorded a full video. But I felt it was important enough to try again so that you guys knew where we were, because I told you I'd keep you informed, and I thought this is a good time as any to let you know what went on. So 20 months ago, I sat in this very room and made a recording about how we got into some credit card debt, and I at that time I had no clue what we were going to do to get out of it. Even the minimum payments at the time were so much for us that we were so far behind that we were putting our groceries on credit cards on occasion. Not all the time, but a few times. I don't know how many times we actually did it, but it was a significant amount, and that's just not a way to live. Most of our credit card debt, as most of you know, and some of you don't, but we were eBay and Amazon sellers at the time, and most of our debt came from the Amazon side of things. Me buying inventory that just didn't sell for what it should have sold for, and making bad buying choices, and putting those bad buying choices on 10 different credit cards. Yes, I said 10 different credit cards. We never had a card with a super high balance. I think 14,000 now currently is our highest balance. Available balance, not our balance, because you'll learn in a little bit what we did. But most of them were like in the $2,000-3,000 range, and so we just kept getting cards and putting debt on them, which is an absolute horrible way to do things, at least for us. In the beginning, a lot of you told me different things to do and try, and I don't know how much of your guys' advice I actually took, but we did take some and we ignored some, and uh, the biggest one that we ignored was bankruptcy. We did not want to declare bankruptcy. We could have. But we both had built up our credit scores. And yes, I know that some of you think that credit scores mean nothing. And regardless of what I think or you think about credit scores, my wife is an 800 credit score at this point, and I'm almost an 800 credit score. And we wanted to keep that. And that means we never missed paying a bill. In our entire time we've been together, we never missed paying a bill. Prior to that, and I'll tell you at the end of the video, prior to that, there was me. I miss paying bills. But since we've been together for the last 10 or so years, 11, 12 years, we've never missed a bill, never missed a payment on anything, ever, no matter how bad it got. Like I said, sometimes we had to put groceries on credit card, but we never missed a payment. So our scores were good, but our debt wasn't. We decided at one point we even talked about mortgage, putting a second mortgage on the house, and a lot of you really advised against it. But we were desperate. We didn't know what else to do to get this debt paid down. We didn't want to live that way anymore. But we also knew that paying it down faster, the way we wanted to, we figured in 2 years, 24 months, would require us to do things differently. So we did. We did not get that second mortgage. For some fluke of the way we made our money the prior year, we made enough money by far, but we didn't. It was the way we made it. I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't understand what the guy was trying to tell us, but we didn't qualify for that second mortgage, which is a good thing in the long run, because we'd probably still be paying on that one, because that would have also included our house plus all these bills. We do still have, house payment. I have a car payment. My wife was able to pay her car off last month, November, I think, or in October. And so that bill was gone. That was actually several months ahead of time, and we'll get into that. So we decided to do gig work, DoorDash, Uber Eats, that kind of thing. We did DoorDash. I think she did it for a month or two. I did it for several more months after her. She eventually got into Walmart Spark, which, if you're not familiar, is delivering groceries for Walmart. If you get groceries delivered from Walmart Plus, it's a guy like me or a lady like my wife delivering them to you. Uh, and it's just like DoorDash. It comes up on your phone, pops up. If you want to take it, you take it. Depends on what the order looks like and how much it pays if you take it. Uh, I did DoorDash for a significant amount of time longer than she did, probably 3 or 4 months more before I was accepted into Spark. And that was a happy day because I hated DoorDash. It was a grind. It was very hard to make decent money doing it. And Walmart was a much better paying gig. Now, that's not true everywhere, but it is where we were doing it. We had to drive, though, almost 30 miles to make that money. So there was gas every day and things like that. We pack our lunch. We do not buy lunch every day. I know some people would, but we didn't. We packed a lunch and go from there. So on top of getting these gigs, well, what do you do to make these payments? Well, you got to start saving some money. Our payments at one point on these 10 cards were, I think, over $2,500 a month just on the credit card debt. That doesn't include our house, cars, and other things like that. Our household bills. So we were $4,000 a month just in bills, and it was unsustainable. But in our prior way of doing things, but once we got into the gig work and put our plan into motion, it was actually fairly well sustainable. Now, there was times it was a struggle. A lot of times it was a struggle, but we still did it, and we still haven't missed a payment, so we're good to go there. We ended up getting 3 more credit cards, and the only reason we did that is because they were 0% interest cards, and we transferred debt to those. And on those cards, we paid. Most of our debt got transferred to those, not all though. When I say debt, I'm just talking credit card debt here, not household debt. 2 of them, I believe, were 18 months, and one of them was a 12-month, I believe. I could be wrong on that. So we split the payments up, and so that they get paid off within the time frame that they allotted us to keep it at 0% interest. We didn't want to go over that because then the interest goes up to 20% or something like that or more. We wanted to make sure we paid those off in the 18 or 12 months. So that was, I think, one of our high ones was $400 a month, but there were several. So that might have not even been the highest. The other cards we paid the minimum plus $100 a month. That's what made up that whole $2,500 or so a month. Now there were, like I said, there were other bills on top of that. Her car payment, my car payment, the house payment, all the household bills. We had an emergency hot water tank buy that had to go on a household card. And my snowblower broke down last winter. I had to buy a new snowblower. You can't live in this area with the back problems that I have, without some sort of form of snow removal device. So I had to buy one. And I got a good one only because, doggone it, the one I was using wasn't so good. And if you know anything about where I live, which is on the shores of Lake Erie in northeastern Ohio, well, we get lake effect snow. And you may have seen on the news recently that we were buried by that lake effect snow. We had approximately 4 feet in our yard. Some people got over 5 feet in this area. So snowblower was a lifesaver during that. Normally it takes me 20 minutes, maybe, to snowblow my driveway. The first big snowfall took me 2.5 hours. And that's with my wife out there doing some of the work too. So yeah. Anyway, that's why we got that. So to save money, because you also have to save money. You got taxes at the end of the year. You're working for yourself. It's the gig economy. That means they don't take taxes out. So we decided, not at the very beginning, but very early on, that we would take 20% of our pay and put it into a savings account and not touch it. And so Walmart pays you daily, so it makes it a little bit more palatable to do that. So we did that. And we paid for our gas every day too. So whatever gas we used that day, that got paid for. And the rest went to pay bills and groceries and whatever. And that worked out really well. The first year, we saved up approximately $14,000. At the end of the year, we had a tax bill that got paid, and whatever was left after the tax bill went to pay off some of the credit card debt. And so I think last year we ended up paying, I don't remember what we paid off. I wouldn't even want to venture a guess because I'll get it wrong, and then my wife will tell me I got it wrong, and then I'll have to explain it to you guys. And I want this to be the final video. So we paid off a bunch of credit card debt last year. Still didn't get us quite all the way there. Obviously, we still owed. I think the last time I did a video it was $26,000, $25,000. So we kept on that track. We paid the 0% interest cards. We paid $100 over on the other cards, and we just kept going and going and going. And it brings us to about a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago. My wife says, I think I have enough money saved up, and we can finish paying off these cards. And because we both saved all year, I think we saved about 16 this year. It was a doable venture. So we still owed maybe 10 or 12,000 on the cards. We paid them off, and we still have enough to do our taxes and enough to get us through some of these bad days in the winter. We haven't worked in a week, a little over a week, because of the snowstorm. Now we could have went back to work a couple days ago, but we decided to take a couple days off, do some sourcing, things like that, so that we can rebuild our eBay. So that's the future. We're paid off. That's the past, I mean. We are now paid off, 0 credit card debt. We have no more credit cards, but we still use one. We still use one credit card for groceries, of all things, and some other things. Whatever, anything we need to buy for the house or something goes on that card, and it gets paid off weekly, not monthly, weekly. I believe she pays it weekly. That way there's no interest accruing on it, and we get the points from that card. That's the only reason we use it. It's a points card, and we're saving up points to do something. I don't know what we're trying to do. So that's where we're at with the credit card debt. We are finally paid off. On top of that, my wife paid off her car early. She was supposed to pay it off in February, and she paid it off in October. So she cut that one off by 4 or 5 months, 6 months almost. November, December, January, February. So 4 months actually. And she got that car paid off early, and so that's one less thing that we have to worry about. So we're doing really much better. Now, we're still going to have to do some gig work for a while. Hopefully by spring, hopefully by yard sale season, so I can go back and start selling on eBay full time again. Right now, I'm just part time. We're going to start probably just working weekends, maybe at the end of the year, and then source and list the rest of the week on eBay. We've been sourcing. We've been taking Mondays off prior to even this snowstorm that we had, and and listing on Tuesdays. So we take Mondays and Tuesdays off, and I think we're going to expand that because we can now. But I think we're going to wait till the end of the year. Christmas is coming up, and we're going to go on a trip and things like that. So we don't want to totally just dive right back into the eBay stuff. But that's what's going to happen. Now, there's one bill that I did not mention in this entire series. And I didn't mention it because I was afraid to. And that bill, because there's some controversy about the way it was paid off, I just didn't want to mention it. But I feel you guys should know that as well, because it is part of our debt. And one of the things that did get paid off prior to me, us getting out of debt. And that was my student loans. I went to college in 1990. I only went for 1 year. I went to a private Christian school in Springfield, Missouri. You can probably guess the one. And many, many years I deferred the payments. I didn't have good jobs. I just didn't pay for a long time until my wife and I got married. And actually, prior, I think, to us getting married, when she moved in, she's like, we're not gonna live with debt and not pay it. We're not gonna do that because we need to build our credit, not destroy it. And I know some of you don't believe in credit and whatever. That's fine. But anyway, it was a student loan debt. So 10 years, well, it's probably 11 years ago now, as of last December, I was paying I believe $147 a month on a 25-year-old student loan debt that I just couldn't get out from under. And no matter how much I paid on that thing, it just didn't seem to ever go down. Of course, it had built a lot of interest over the years. I forget how many times over I paid the actual principal, many, many times over. And one day I get an email that says, we're going to forgive your student loan. And of course, there's a lot of controversy about that. And my student loan wasn't forgiven at that time. There was some Supreme Court stuff or Congress stuff or something, and it just didn't happen. And it was disappointing, but it was okay, because it's my debt. Even though I've paid it over and over and over and over again, it is what it is. I think it was maybe a year later, I got another email that says that I qualify for debt relief, that they would pay this debt off. And they did. It's a debt that followed me for my entire adult life. I'm 53 years old. And I made this debt when I was 20. So I almost cried. Tears of joy, of course. And I know some of you feel differently. You feel some sort of way about that. Now, I am as conservative as they come. But boy, was I happy that it happened to me. And I didn't want to mention it. I did mention it once on the morning show that I do with Scott, the Bearded Picker. Check out his channel, The Bearded Picker. I did mention it once there, but I had not mentioned it on this series because it was, I don't know if I was embarrassed by it or I felt that some of you might say something about it, but regardless of how you feel about it, it happened. Now, I know they shut that program down since then. I believe they have. So I was one of the lucky ones that, I guess I was lucky that they did that. But that was $147 extra a month for us to have groceries or for us to put gas in a car or whatever, to continue so we could continue paying off the other debt. So what's the future? Well, we're working on getting back into eBay full time. Like I said, that's going to take some time. We can't just jump right back into it. We'd go broke. We wouldn't be able to pay our bills. We still owe a house payment and a car payment, and, all the household bills. So, which is significantly less than what we were before. So we're good to go there, but we still need to, make some income prior to just jumping back into it. We have a head start on it now because we took the last week or so off, but not quite enough yet. I think we can build it quickly. I think we're going to build it by March, and I think we'll be back to full-time reselling at that point. What I'd like to do, maybe even prior to that, is go back to what this channel was really about in the first place, and that's reselling. So I'd like to start doing reselling videos again. Now, I know I've said that before, but I have the itch again, and hopefully I can be more consistent. I'm not worried about followers or money, monetary gain. I just like to show off what I do. So I might start doing that content again, hopefully here soon. I thought about making one this week, but I wanted to get this video out first because the last thing that I told you guys is we had 26,000 more dollars to go. Well, now we have zero more dollars to go, so we're good to go there. But I want to thank you all for your support over the last 2 years now, 20 months, almost 2 years. We were able to get it done a little sooner than we expected. We were supposed to go till March, and we got it done early. So, to all those who said that we could do it, thank you. To those who said we couldn't, well, we did. So, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you around.